Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Enter, welcome back to the channel, and today we have another Smite 2 developer deep dive to go over. Seems like they're making good on doing one of these every week, and you guys asked me to cover them all as they come out rather than like doing them as a group. That seemed to be the general consensus, so I will be covering all of these as they come out, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you want my thoughts on it as quick as possible. For this one, they're going to be talking a little bit about the gods, you know, moving gods over from Smite 1, what kind of changes they make. We've already seen quite a few of these changes, you know, like Anher's ult, for example, Ymir's wall, being able to like knock people back and stuff like that. And so they're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff, the technical aspects of porting gods over from Smite 1, the changes they're going to make, all that kind of stuff. So let's just jump right in.
So I'm Daniel Cooper. I'm the advanced game designer on Smite 2, working on God, combat, item balance, all the things.
My name is Josh Malmquist. I'm a senior gameplay programmer on Titanforge. I'm one of the programmers on Smite 2.
I'm Daniel Lilleberg. I'm the animation director. I was the animation lead on Smite for the first 84 gods, and I'm super excited to come back for Smite 2.
So I'm Ben Neff. I'm the art director on Smite 2. I've been here at Hi-Rez for about 17 years. The goal is just to make sure
17 years, god damn. Smite's only been around like what? How many years now? 13 years? 14 years maybe, if you count like some of the early development of the game. So he was clearly working on some older Smite, not Smite stuff, older Hi-Rez stuff like tribes and stuff like that.
We bring Smite to the next level, really. That's my whole goal, making sure the quality is king and the fans get what they deserve for the next game.
Well, the first process that we really had to go through is like, what is the kit for the god that we're bringing over? Like, what are the technical needs? What are the art needs? We look at that first, and the first team that actually starts on it now is design.
First, we go and look at the characters, see what things that we've wanted to change over time. We have years and years of different balance beating discussions and community feedback about what people like about a character, what people don't like about a character, feature requests that they've wanted for a long time. So we try.
Yeah, this is like the perfect opportunity to make a lot of these changes, in my opinion. Like, both from a technical standpoint, it'll be a lot easier, simpler, quicker, and we'll have a lot more powerful tools to be able to make a lot of these changes going into Smite 2. And also just in general, you know, having a lot of these changes that, like, don't necessarily completely change the god and the way they play or something, but like I said, the Ymir wall change, the Anher ult change, that kind of stuff, like, these sort of fairly small changes that just change them a little bit, you know, the core of the character is still familiar, but you kind of just get like upgrades and stuff like that. And I think that's the perfect time to do these kind of things, you know, good advertising for Smite 2 as well. You know, people will be like, oh, I played that character like 6 years ago in Smite 1. I love that character. Oh, they look so sick in Smite 2. Let's hop on. So yeah, really a perfect time to be doing these kind of like, maybe even semi-reworks. They haven't really shown any reworks yet, but I imagine there will be one or two. I'd be a little bit disappointed if there weren't a couple of reworks to some of the more problematic characters as they transition from Smite 1 to Smite 2. I think it's the perfect time to do that.
Try and consolidate all that together so we have like our kind of major list of improvements that we feel like we can make very quickly.
A lot of what we have to do now
also, they were
is
playing on
looking
controller there, right? I mean, obviously that's probably just PC. Yeah, it is PC, but like they've got control support on PC already. I imagine console support will be here for Smite 2 relatively soon. I'm sure they know that like a majority of their player base is on console. They'll probably be getting on that relatively
So we
quick.
have like our kind of major
maybe not
list of
during
improvements
alpha or
that we feel
beta,
like we can
but
make very
definitely
quickly.
full release.
a lot of what we have to do now is looking at, okay, what are the gods that we're planning on bringing over, and how can we bring them over in a way that lets us build out these systems from scratch?
We try to port the character over kind of verbatim initially, and we try to figure out then from there, where can we enhance it? The first thing is you're going from a spec gloss workflow, which is Unreal 3, which is an older tech thing, to a PBR workflow, which is physical-based
going
rendering.
over my head a little
so
bit,
that is a whole different type of technology that you have to then move all your characters' textures and the materials from one engine to another.
Dude,
so that's
Neith does look a lot better. Like, some of the characters, like, I'm actually not a massive fan of Anher's new look. To be completely honest, I think like fidelity-wise, it definitely looks better, but his face is a little bit weird. But like Neith,
characters,
such a
textures,
massive
and the
improvement.
material.
And Neith is obviously like the most popular character in the game. Not really the face of the game necessarily. That's more so like Bellona and Zeus and Thor and stuff. Neith's not exactly a very popular god in like pop culture, but Neith, the most popular character in the game in terms of play rate, so definitely important that she looks good, and she definitely does look good. Her face actually looks like a human now rather than some kind of like weird Barbie doll thing.
You have to then move all your characters' textures and the materials from one engine to another. So that's a whole process in itself. So we know for each god we bring over, we have to go and do that process. But then every time we do that, we look for areas where we can enhance the character
So they will go through, they'll look at the kit, see if there's any redesigns they want to make, and then they come to the gameplay team and are like, here's our laundry list of items, here's what we want to do. And then the gameplay team will go through and actually assess the technical needs.
One example of that was early on for Anubis. We tried something where maybe he didn't have a stun in his kit, and we tried to give him another ability that felt impactful for him, but that just didn't feel like you're still playing the same character, right? Without that stun, without that mummify, a lot
of I don't think you should take away Anubis' stun. That's like very core to his identity. I actually don't think there's any problem with Anubis' kit, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say that like, oh, he either snowballs and wins the game immediately or instantly loses because he has no mobility and way to protect himself. But I think it's fine to have those kind of glass cannon characters in the game. I think Anubis is actually a pretty good design overall, especially now they allowed him to move with his one. Yeah, removing the stun on him would feel super weird unless they gave him some other way to like lock an enemy down into his abilities, because otherwise you're not going to get your damage off.
The rest of his kit kind of fell apart and didn't feel cohesive anymore. And so we went back to the drawing board on that. We looked at making the ult feel punchier, and we also made sure that the improvements that the Smite 1 team had made over the last few years, such as Anubis walking, were still reflected in Smite 2.
But it gives us a lot of flexibility now where we're able to give design the tools that they can actually go and prototype the entire god without needing gameplay programming at all, which is
yeah, they talked about this a little bit in like previous interviews and deep dives and stuff like that. Very important aspect of it, the fact that like the people that are making the design decisions in terms of like how a god's kit is going to work, they can actually do like a prototype of that build themselves without having to say like, oh, this is what I want to do, I'm going to have to send this over to the programmers now, and then it'll take the programmers like a month to get that back to me and then see if we like it or not. And then if we don't like it, we can either revert it or we can, you know, it's all this extra time and like throwing it around between different people, whereas if you're able to just prototype something yourself, which UE5 seems to allow them to do much easier than UE3 did, then you can just kind of like have these ideas and just be like, oh, does this work? Oh, let's prototype that in like an hour or two with one guy working on it rather than sending it over to an entire programming team. And it allows them to make a lot more frequent changes, and then, you know, if you've made 100 changes and 50 of them are bad, you've still got 50 great changes there, whereas if you've made like 20 changes and half of them are bad, you've only got 10. Like, it just allows them to do more, and even if a lot of the changes they make are terrible and they never get implemented, that's still useful information to have. They know what doesn't work, and then they can change things around really quickly with prototyping and stuff like that. It seems like it's gonna massively improve the workflow for Smite 2 and get us a lot more cool changes.
One complete 180 from how we did it on Smite.
One of the areas we're working to use the advancements in UE5 and get over some of these pain points is the upper body lower splits that we had in Smite 1.
Yeah,
a lot of times you could see
very
visibly when we were merging the characters' lower bodies to keep them running with their upper body, either melees or ability and interactions, animations. Ymir, for example, if you look at him in Smite 1, when he runs around in melees, his pelvis shifts around a lot and has a very artificial feeling. But with a lot of the tools and pain points we're overcoming by moving to UE5, we're able to better adjust his pelvis based on what his body is doing at that time, so we get less of that clear break.
In Smite 1, I think there's a lot of things we had to consider as we're working with things, like even like polygon counts. There's a lot of things that in Unreal 3, there was just major limitations there. And so in Unreal 5, we have a lot more kind of bandwidth to like work with bones and kind of like the tech that's more relevant.
So for each god, we're going through cross-functional, reviewing all that together, and a lot of those fill up those boxes already. We need these abilities to change for this reason. We have to add this. And what that leaves us, though, on each one is some degree of just, on the animation front, just time to improve just the aesthetics. And so each case, we're kind of filling up what needs to change, what has to change, and then we have some little bit of time that we use as judiciously as we can to improve all the animation presentations when we bring these characters over.
So that process took quite some time. I think for bringing Chalk over into the game, like for scratch on Smite 2, initially took us like probably 3 or 4 months, because we had to build up all those foundational systems. But we got Chalk playable probably within a month in Smite 2 because of blueprints and letting designers just go through and blueprint it all. And then gameplay was able to come in after the fact and really like clean them up. In Smite 1, it wouldn't have been possible. It would have taken us to build Chalk from the scratch in Smite 1, would have taken us 2 months gameplay programming time.
Going fully.
Yeah, that's like really a big part of it. Like, everything is just going to be quicker, everything is going to be more efficient, and they'll have more time available to do, you know, other things, other important changes that the game needs.
Into Smite 2 with none of that like restriction from like bringing an older file up to speed, just starting fresh in the new engine with all the new tools. There's going to be so many things we can do just like that you'll notice a quality change just already for like all the Smite 2 gods, because they start off right. Like we're gonna know areas that we can just kind of out the gate make look 10 times better.
Animation.
The largest part for me as an animator is just restraint. There are so many things that we could do with the new technology. There are so many things that we'd like to explore further. The jump from UE5 to UE3, at least as a developer, is fantastic. And actually, some of it causes us to just really see all the awesome things you can do and go, I can only take 2 of those. And
I mean, that's a good problem to have, right? You know, I got so many awesome ideas that you can do now that are possible, and you just kind of gotta say, okay, some of these cool things we're not going to be able to do, we're not going to have time for. That's definitely a much better problem to have than saying, oh, look, all these cool things we could do, but we can't really do them because the UE3 doesn't really allow us to and stuff like that. Definitely a good problem to have.
Make the best decisions there.
Working on Smite 2 has been something that's been so incredible. It's truly like a love letter to everything in Smite 1. Seeing from the early days of Smite 1 and seeing now that we actually are working on Smite 2, actually delivering on this thing that really amplifies Smite to the next level. It's just been so incredible. Seeing the reception at SWC has been incredible. The audience reaction, all the fans coming up and talking about it. It's just so great to be able to actually talk about Smite 2 now. I can't wait for you guys to get a chance to play it.
We've been working on this on and off throughout the years, trying different ways of doing it. And I think once you get your hands on it, you're really gonna love it. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of people that have played. I haven't had a chance to play it yet myself, but from a lot of the people that played at SWC, from a lot of like the pros that have said they've played and stuff like that, everyone says it seems really good and feels really good. And considering how early of a stage it's in right now, like I think by the time it full releases, it's going to be a really incredible upgrade to Smite in general. But yeah, that was another Smite 2 developer deep dive on the gods and bringing some of them over and all that good stuff. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. If you did, then of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be covering all of these deep dives as they come out because I'm very interested in this and you guys seem to be as well. So I'll bring you guys the news as quick as I can. But yeah, other than that, I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day and peace out, you nerds.